Right, so what I thought we'd do today is talk about the whole kind of current, at least, the marketing behind Resident Evil Requiem. I haven't covered a lot of this game, mainly because there's not been a whole lot to cover. I think I've mentioned that before. It's been one of the weirdest kind of marketing periods for an RE game I've seen in a while. You know, I genuinely think that pretty much any other game in the franchise has probably seen more variation in its marketing than Requiem has. And to a degree, I get it. You know, it's a big game. There's a lot in this game that calls back to, you know, the overall story of the franchise, and they probably want to keep most of it kind of close to the chest, which is fine. You know, I think I do prefer that in some way. I think a lot of games, and even Resident Evil has done it before, they show too much leading up to release. And it's not just games, it's films and games as well. When, you know, they show so many different things in different trailers that you get to the point when the thing releases and you kind of know a lot. You might be missing some context, but you are pretty much in the loop with what's going on and what to expect. So, you know, to a degree, I think the limited kind of footage that's been shown has been, you know, the idea of it is a good thing. But this is the thing. What they have shown, to me, has been, you know, it's not showing Resident Evil, really. I do want to say the trailers are the good part. You know, they don't show a lot, and there's not a lot of variation between the two trailers we have, but they show snippets of other bits. And if you watched the video last night, the 10-minute kind of Road to Requiem video where they announced the pre-orders, they show even more, and there's actually some combat in there, which is nice. So the trailers and the footage they do kind of show is well done. You know, it's still more of the same, but you know, they're good trailers. They're well made, they're put together quite well, and they show kind of snippets of other bits. But here's the thing, of what they've showed of the game, it's the same demo everywhere. So it's that same couple corridors, being chased around by the big monster thing, and using the light to kind of keep it away from you and stuff like that. And I've seen that thing about 5 times in different kind of events, where it's been obviously the playable, you know, booth of the game. You can play this demo, and every time I look at it, I'm like, what are you trying to market here that's Resident Evil? You know, I've spoken to people that have played the games. You know, maybe some have played more than others, but from the gameplay we've seen, I'm not looking at a Resident Evil game. Like, that to me feels more like, you know, an Outlast type game. And yeah, I've said it before when I've talked about it. I know that's not the whole game. It's the early part of the game. Obviously, that's not going to be the entire game. I'm not kind of unaware of that. But if you're trying to market a Resident Evil game through like a small demo, you actually want to show what the games are kind of known for. You know, like puzzles. There is some depth of puzzle to the demo, I'll give it that. But I want to see the combat. I want to see the limited inventory. I want to see, you know, the actual enemies of the game I'm fighting, not the thing I'm running away from half the time. I'm not kind of, and again, this is personal preference, I'm not a big fan of pursuer type enemies in games as a whole. There are games that are made where it is the whole shtick of the game. Again, Outlast, you pretty much run from everything you come across in that game. And obviously games like Alien Isolation, the alien's kind of the ever lingering presence. You can't fight it, you have to kind of hide or fight it off, whatever, that's fine. But that is not what a Resident Evil game is. And yeah, a lot of the games do have pursuers, you know, all the way back to like the first few games. You know, you've got Mr. X, you've got Nemesis. But here's the difference with those compared to, you know, what we've seen with this game so far. And you may not agree, but you can literally fight it off. You can fight it if you want to. Like, it will stop for a long time. Obviously in the demo in 9, you can kind of use the light and it will kind of run away for a moment, or just not come into areas where light is. Again, very reminiscent to any other game where you're being chased around by a monster. There is rooms it won't go to, there are things that will make it run away briefly, but in, you know, 2, 3, you can stop it. You can kill it temporarily or stun it temporarily and it will not come back for a while. That is better. It suits these games better. These are games where you play characters that can fight to some capacity, and I say some capacity because obviously Grace is maybe not as kind of trained in it all as the others, but she still has gun experience. You know, she's FBI. It's kind of the whole point. You know, you're going to have some kind of gun training, so you can use a gun. But I just really think how they've kind of put that demo at the forefront, it's not showing the game that I want to see. You know, I want to see, you know, a few zombies, maybe, you know, a big puzzle where you gotta find certain items and stuff like that, which again is in the demo, I'll give it that, but it's not really as engaged, it's not really as complex as it should be. It's just, you know, find the key to find the fuse to put in the door to get out, like very simple stuff, you know, not like a proper, you know, puzzle area. So yeah, I think using that demo as much as I have is a hindrance. I think a few people I've seen online have agreed where they've just showed nothing new, and they still aren't showing anything new. And by the sound of things, based off of last night, we're not going to see anything new until at least January, because there's a showcase then. And, you know, that's still a couple months out, so that's still probably a couple months of nothing. There might be something small in between, but you're not really going to see anything new until then, which is really close to launch. That's like a month away from launch at that point. Not the best move, I don't think, but that's just me. And then finally, on top of all of the marketing, on top of all of the information we have about the game, the worst kept secret of all time, that Leon is in the game, kind of did get ruined last night as well, if you didn't know. Pre-orders went up last night, and PlayStation Store in Portugal put up as one of the bonuses, you know, including all the ones that we already knew, like the Dimitrescu costume for Grace and the weapon skins and stuff like that. They literally put that Leon was getting like a special operations costume for Leon. So they kind of ruined that he's in the game. That has now since been removed, but kind of too little too late. They've been trying to hide this obvious fact for so long that he's in the game. Now Sony have just gone and accidentally done it, so now we know he's in the game, but we've still got to wait until January at least to see anything new, and they might not even show him then. So it's just a bit of a mess, really. But yeah, that's about it with Requieum. That's all there really is to cover. Until there is something new, I will obviously cover something new, but in terms of what we've seen and what we're going to get for the brief future, it's probably more of the same. But yeah, when there's anything new, I'll cover it, so keep tuned for that. And yeah, leave a like on the video, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you all in the next one.